We are joined by Jimmy Leong. He is president of Malaysia Tourist Guide Council. Very, very unique in that not too many countries in this world actually have licensed guides. Tell me, how many guides do you have licensed in Malaysia now?
Currently in the country, we have something like 3,500 licensed guides, and they're licensed by the Ministry of Tourism Malaysia.
If you could give us a little background of when this licensing program began and how it's structured, the different categories and so forth, please.
Yes, in 1974, when a paper was presented in Parliament, we gazetted into a law, the Licensing and Tourist Guide Act 1974, and at that time it was under the Tourist Development Corporation before the ministry was formed. And as the ministry was formed, the whole act was then re-enacted into the Tourism Industry Act. So right up to today, the profession is still in the Tourism Industry Act itself, right up to today under the Ministry of Tourism.
Jimmy, tell us, when did this program begin, why, and where is that today?
Okay, in 1974, all guides are licensed by the government, and right up to today, they're licensed by the Ministry of Tourism of Malaysia. So for any tour operator or any individual who needs a guide in the country, they are licensed. The responsibility of carrying out their job with the values in them, train guides.
Are there categories of guides? I mean, besides language, I imagine there's an issue of language, but there are categories like cultural versus simple sightseeing versus technical or something like that?
Yes, in Malaysia, we do have many categories of guides. City guides, nature guide, special guides in localized area, specialized in the field. And recently we even have UNESCO certified and accredited cultural heritage guides.
Wow.
And they're specialized in the different aspects in cultural sites, at nature, ecotourism sites, in city and different sightseeing tours.
If I wanted to be a guide, what would I have? What would be my learning training path?
Okay, first of all, we have to assess whether the candidates love tourism, and then after that they will be assessed on their language, and we put them under a training of about 6 months, and after that they need to sit for an examination. So after the examination, they will get a license to guide, but this will be a probation for 2 years. So within the 2 years, they go on a mentoring from a senior guide, and without any complaint, suitable for the industry, they get a permanent guide's license, which will be reflected blue in color, as a permanent guide.
Wow. Who is we that will provide them the training?
Okay, training is done by a professional training institution, a tourism industry training institution, and they work together with the Ministry of Tourism, as well as the National Vocational Training Center and the Malaysian Tourist Guide Council.
Right now you have about 3,000 guides. Earlier when I asked how many you had 10 years ago, it was about 3,000. So the industry, the terms of number of visitors has risen. How come the number of guides have not risen?
Well, again, it depends on market and demand. You see, a couple of years back, the number goes up as far as 5,000. And then with the economic downturn, with a few couple of crises like the SARS and whatsoever, there were some who left the industry. And when the industry picks up, we find more people coming in. That's why there's an increase. But over the years, they're up and downs.
Would the ones who left come back because the industry pays fairly well compared to other jobs?
Oh yes, certainly. If a person who have left the profession for a couple of years, when they comes back, we give them a short refresher course. If the person have left the industry for too long, then they have to sit through the examination, assess their knowledge on the tourism product, and they will be accorded back with the license.
Of course, if I booked a guide, through my travel agent or tour operator, no problem. If I want to book a guide directly, is that something that's possible?
Yes, certainly possible. We have the mechanism. If one were to access our website, all right, the Malaysian Tourist Guide Council, mtgc.org.my, they will be able to see the number of licensed guides in the different states. So wherever they are, when they landed with their group, they can book the guide directly with the information provided under the website.
Personally, if because I'm in the industry, it's very, very frequently that you travel places on an FIT individual basis and have a guide. And there's nothing like being able to travel and being able to ask questions that pertain to your interests or that's on your mind at that moment. And it would seem to me that if it was affordable, more people would want a guide. I guess I don't quite understand that the demand has not been higher. Is it a matter of cost?
It depends. There are certain markets who demands for the guide. Like for example, through the email, we have to communicate it with tourists before the arrival. They ask a couple of questions from the guide. What sort of experience and background, how many years they've been in the industry, suggests proposed itinerary for them. And that acts as a catalyst for them to actually arrive, and this guide takes over the job to deliver that experience while in Malaysia. Of course, there are some who do not need the guide, so it depends on market demand.
What would one expect to pay for a full day of a guide nowadays?
Again, it depends on specialties. Yeah. If we are talking of a city guide, you pay roughly about 120 ringgit for half a day tour. There are guides who are very specialized in their field, like heritage guides. You pay something like 250 ringgit per day. So it depends again on the specialties of the guide or what skill that they have.
Well, 120 ringgit for half a day is 240 for a full day. That's pretty approximate to 250 ringgit at exchange rate of 3 for 1 for the U.S. dollar. Okay. Is there any particular reason that I would not, if I'm a tour operator, want to hire somebody totally green, train them myself within the company, and then get them licensed?
Yes, possible, provided that if a tour operator see potential in the staff that they've employed to be a very good guide, they can send them for the training, and after that they can what we call be a resident guide of the company. But if, of course, on hands they do not have any potential staff that they have, then they can look at a pool of guides that are available in the market. Because up to currently now, we have something like close to about 70% of the guides are freelancing, and 30% of those are what we call residence guide attached with tour operators.
In certain countries in Southeast Asia, Thailand in particular, Hong Kong to a lesser degree, but yes, there are shopping commissions, such arrangements between tour guides and tour companies and shops. Is that a phenomenon that exists in Malaysia?
Of course, we know that this is happening, but in Malaysia we also have our code of ethics that guides are not permitted to take any commission or any cut from any transaction pertaining to shopping. And the Malaysian Tourist Guide Council, they're very serious on this. If there's a case where proven the guide is guilty of the offense, he can be delicensed immediately.
Well, I'm glad to hear that there are such regulations, because certainly in other countries that commission becomes a problem. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.